The book of Revelation can be difficult to understand. It can be even more difficult when you're a new believer in Christ. And this was the case with this person in Colonial Heights, Virginia. She asks, is the tribulation period divided into 3 parts as it seems in the book of Revelation?
Well, let me say to you that when this period is first mentioned, which is in the 9th chapter of the book of Daniel, why you find that the 7-year period is divided into 2 parts. And let me just give one verse out of that very important passage. First of all, it says in verse 24 of chapter 9 of Daniel, 70 weeks are determined upon thy people. We believe these are 7-year periods, by the way. And we're told, if you move down to verse 27, and he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week, and in the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. Now, this last 7 years is the Great Tribulation period, and it is divided into 2 parts. In the midst of the week he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abomination he shall make it desolate, even until the consummation, and that determined shall be poured upon the desolate. In other words, the Great Tribulation, with all of the judgments and the tribulation of it, and the horror of it, by the way, comes in the last 3.5-year period. And the first 3.5 is obviously a preparation for that. I personally think that the Antichrist for the first 3.5 years is going to look like a pretty respectable fella. Well, we did business with Hitler and Mussolini both, didn't we? At the very beginning of their time in Germany and in Italy. It wasn't until the last part of it. Well, apparently Antichrist will be like that, and the 2 periods are there. And I would not think there's any lapse or anything like that, and I don't think your question is what I'd call a stupid question by any means. It's a very good question. Now, when you move over into Revelation, and I'll not turn to these passages, but in the 11th chapter, the 2nd verse, and the 3rd verse, and then in the 13th chapter, the 5th verse, you'll find out that last period is not only divided into 3.5 years, but into months and into days even. And you find that in the last part of the book of Daniel also. And I don't have time, naturally, to go into an exposition of the 70 weeks, but that is the way that it is divided, both in Daniel and in the book of Revelation. And it seems to be a period when, for instance, the first period is a preparation for the last period.